Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you all had a great start to your year, but now we must look back and reminisce on 2023 and the best part about it. The movies. Last year was easily the best year for filmmaking we have had in this decade, and so in 10 minutes or less, I will review every film I saw that released in 2023. And we got like 50 movies to do, so I'm going to finish up this intro really fast. Remember, if there's a movie I didn't see, it's usually because I ran out of time. Some of those films that I really wanted to see that I wasn't able to get to were The Holdovers, Suzumi, Priscilla, Anatomy of a Fall, Ferrari, Nimona, and Napoleon. And if there's any other movie I didn't review, obviously it's horrible, and that's the reason I didn't watch it. Let's get to January.
I'm freezing my balls off.
You Hurt My Feelings. I saw this at Sundance, and it's a great little comedy film. It's a revelation that Julia Louis-Dreyfus should have basically been in everything after Seinfeld ended. She's amazing, and this is one of the most underrated of the year, 8 out of 10.
And introducing Kang and Jonathan Majors in a colossal way.
Infinity Pool. This is genuinely horrifying. This film nails true horror, and that is always a delight to see in film. Infinity Pool is great, it flies by, 8 out of 10. Knock at the Cabin. Shyamalan is back. Genuinely a really good thriller that executes a fun premise and has a twist that doesn't ruin the entire film. Check it out, it's pretty good. 7 out of 10. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is horrendous. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. Magic Mike's Last Dance. This is a film that is way too normal. Magic Mike is weird and big and sexy, and this movie is kind of none of those. I made a Magic Mike video way back earlier in the year, but looking back, this film really was one of my biggest disappointments of the year for me. It's not horrible. I give it like a 5 out of 10. March. Creed 3. Honestly, Creed should have never been a franchise. It's a fine legacy reboot film, but 2 is a husk of the series, and 3 is another fine but unmemorable film. 5 out of 10. Cocaine Bear. A movie that does not live up to its title. Only redeemed by my love for Alden Ehrenreich, and that's kind of it. This is kind of the most disappointing name to movie ratio maybe ever. 5 out of 10. 65. Look at my channel's name. There was no way I wasn't gonna watch this. I'm a huge Adam Driver fan, I love dinosaurs, and yeah, the premise itself basically sold me. Is it good? No, not really. Did I have fun? Kind of. Will I ever watch it again? No. It's a 3 out of 10 due to how stupid it is and not due to a lack of filmmaking skill, which is something I appreciate now more than ever. Scream 6. Wow, an actual good Scream sequel and probably the best one ever, and still with all of that goodwill, Paramount managed to destroy the entire franchise in the 7th movie in like one day on Twitter with everyone in the cast dropping out. It was really impressive. Anyway, I liked this little chapter of Scream with this new cast, and I really liked 5 and 6, and I'll give 6 a 6 out of 10. John Wick Chapter 4. One of the most incredible pieces of action filmmaking ever, and the best action film this year, and still with all that, it's probably only my 3rd favorite John Wick film. This franchise is genuinely so good, it's insane. 8 out of 10. Dungeons and Dragons. I started playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons with my friends this year before we all went to college, and this movie reminded me of all those good times. It's stupid, and it's fun, and a perfect representation of D&D, and my mom really liked it because of the massive bird, and that's honestly the only review I care about. 6 out of 10, I still need to play Baldur's Gate 3. Shazam 2. Holy crap, I forgot to do this initially. I had to come back and later edit this, but I forgot this movie existed. 3 out of 10, I don't remember anything about it. April. Air. Really good dad movie. Had a good time. Really liked this one. Not much to say. 7 out of 10. Super Mario Bros. Look, this movie wasn't for me. When I first saw it, everyone looked at me crazy when I said I really didn't like it, and now everyone's coming around that, yeah, it wasn't very great. This isn't a breakthrough for video game adaptations. It's just a fine kids film, and it wasn't for me. 4 out of 10. Beau is Afraid. Ari Aster knows how to make good movies. Unfortunately, he's really good at creating tension and anxiety. This movie's amazing, but it was miserable for me to watch. I felt like that android with that 100% stress level the entire time. Great movie, horrible viewing experience, 7 out of 10. May. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. A good movie, but I think it's easily the weakest of the Guardians trilogy, but it's still a strong emotional send-off to the best MCU trilogy, and I can't wait for Superman Legacy. 7 out of 10. Blackberry. Watched this off my love for Glenn Howerton alone, and it's fantastic. And it's a super good social network-esque film about the Blackberry phone. I think if I watched it again, I'd love it even more. 7 out of 10. Fast X. I love these stupid movies, but this one was just fine. Normally, Fast and Furious movies are amazing, but this one lacked the true bombastic greatness that Justin Lin brings to these films. 5 out of 10. June. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is my favorite film of the year. Visually and story-wise, it's absolutely incredible and builds off and improves nearly everything about the masterpiece that came before it into the Spider-Verse. 10 out of 10. This is easily the most impactful and memorable film of the year for me. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. There's something poetic about the dude who directed the least memorable Rocky movie with Creed 2 coming over to the Transformers franchise and making the least memorable Transformers film. Say what you want about Michael Bay, but even his worst films stick with you, and this one just doesn't. It's fine. 5 out of 10. Asteroid City. Someone on Twitter said that Wes Anderson is a bus that always arrives on time that no one appreciates, and I think that's perfect. I love Wes Anderson, and Asteroid City is no different. 9 out of 10. The Flash. Awful. Visually terrible, and it couldn't even be saved by its rare cute moments at the beginning of the film. 3 out of 10. Elemental. It's cute, but completely forgettable. Pixar just really hasn't made anything that has stuck with me since Soul. It's fine. 5 out of 10. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Not horrible, but clearly a film bad enough that John Williams has come out of retirement in order for this not to be his last film. If that isn't a good enough review, I don't know what is. 4 out of 10. July. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I love Mission Impossible Fallout. It's the reason I went skydiving in real life. This, though, I did not care for. It just wasn't a film I clicked with, and I know I'm in the minority, but 5 out of 10. Barbie. My mom laughed at every joke in the theater when we watched this, and then would either repeat the joke or say, "That is so true." I think the movie was achieving what it wanted to set out with when I saw that reaction, so this was pretty great. 7 out of 10. Oppenheimer. You don't need to be able to read the music, it's just can you hear the music? And a huge general audience was actually able to for this 3-hour rated R historical film. This was one of my favorites of the year and a win for cinema in general. 9 out of 10. Talk to Me. Really good horror flick. Not too many of those this year, but this one rocks. 7 out of 10. Theater Camp. I just can't stand Ben Platt. I'm sorry. 5 out of 10. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Come on, who doesn't love the Turtles? This film rocks and it's the best Ninja Turtle movie ever made. 8 out of 10. Bottoms. It's probably the second best comedy of the year. Absolutely loved it. 8 out of 10. Blue Beetle. The only people who really like this movie, I think, are the people who only watch comic book movies. For me, it was just another forgettable DC film with some really shoddy CGI. Wasn't for me. 3 out of 10. Gran Turismo. Honestly, I think the main actor in this kind of sucks, but we'll see later if he's the reason he's making these movies worse. But I didn't really like Gran Turismo. 3 out of 10. September. October. Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese does not miss. 9 out of 10. The Killer. David Fincher's newest movie, and he also does not miss. The Killer does, though. 8 out of 10. FNAF. Again, this is obviously not made for me. I played the game as a kid, and this was a whatever kid's horror movie. Just not my thing, but I'm glad the director got her back, though. 4 out of 10. November. Radical. I'm a sucker for a teacher with a heart of gold story. That was a really fun movie. This kind of came out of nowhere, and I thought it was really cute and really strongly directed. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Saltburn. No, this Archie Marduk dude just sucks at acting. But this film has some of the best direction of the year, so that might be worth checking it out. But it also has one of the worst scripts of the entire year. So honestly, it's a movie that ends up in the middle of the road for me. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Dream Scenario. Probably the funniest fart scene in any movie I've ever seen. Don't get anything spoiled about this movie and have a good time. 7 out of 10. Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I read the entire original trilogy in 6th grade and I saw the original Hunger Games films. This one, though, I thought was pretty bad. I don't know if I watched a separate film, but this was visually ugly and had some of the most uninteresting and boring characters I've seen in a film, and the runtime was absolutely bloated. This was just not my thing, and I was super confused at why it had such high ratings until my sister said Eminem looked hot in it, and then it all made sense. But for me, this is like a 3 out of 10. December. Godzilla Minus One. You already know how much I love this movie. 8 out of 10. The Boy and the Heron. This film meant so much to me. It's probably the closest film this year that got me to making me cry, and it was absolutely beautiful, and if you haven't seen it, please make it a priority to see so. It's one of those life-changing movies, and if I rewatched it, I'd probably give it a 10, but right now I'm going to settle on a 9, but it could be a 10 depending on the day. Poor Things. This is a complicated film, but it was a film I came around on the longer it went on. At the beginning, Emma Stone's acting was borderline Simple Jack level, I thought, but as the film goes on, you really get to see her figure out how to play Bella, and the story gets a lot more interesting the more intelligent she gets throughout the film. Honestly, I think it was more on me for not knowing what to expect going into the film, and the longer the film went on, the more I saw what it was trying to achieve, and the more I respected it for how original and unique and interesting it was. This is honestly a great movie, but it is a film you're gonna have to give a little grace towards at the beginning so you can be able to figure out what they're doing and what journey they're taking you on. But by the time it reached the end, I had a great time. 8 out of 10. May, December. I went in knowing nothing, and I'd recommend you do the same. It's absolutely incredible. Some of the best performances of the year are in this film, especially Charles Melton, and everyone else in the cast is great. I'm not gonna say anything else. 8 out of 10. Watch it. Maestro. Okay, I'm sorry, but I love this movie. I bought in on the weird performance Bradley Cooper's doing and this weird wholesomeness the entire film has. I just loved it. 9 out of 10. I don't care. Wonka. I should have never doubted Paul King. This movie's absolutely great, and it's adorable and a really fun musical. 7 out of 10. Aquaman 2. Visually rad, and it did Black Manta justice, and honestly that was the only reason I was there for. Everything else is about as shallow as a puddle, but honestly I can't even be mad. 4 out of 10. The Iron Claw, an incredibly powerful film about beauty and the pain that can come from family. Zac Efron kills it, and it's one of my favorites of the year. Just make sure you're in a good place before you watch it. 8 out of 10. And finally, last but not least, Rebel Moon. I wanted to give Zachary the benefit of the doubt here, but this is one of the most incoherent and pretty awful films of the year. There's some redeeming scenes and some interesting direction, I guess, at some points, but honestly, this was pretty horrible. Sorry, Zach, this just was not good, and I give it like a 2 out of 10. And that was every film I saw in 2023. Not as many as a lot of people. I know I missed a lot of films, but I'll watch those in January. If you want to see my list of every movie in 2023 I saw ranked, click on the link in the description. You'll see my Letterboxd list. I'm going to flash my top 10 list right now. Bam! And I hope you guys have a great start to your 2024. I got 2 more awesome videos on the way, so stay tuned for that. And when those videos come out, I'll see you then. Bye.